Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today I wanted to talk about Clash and give some of the information that I've learned from the beta of Clash and let you guys know what you can be looking forward to in Clash and how you can best go about getting the best chance of success in the inaugural weekend, the Demacia Cup. So, let's go ahead and talk about this. First, if you haven't heard, which you should have already, Clash is 5v5 pre-mades versus each other in a tournament fashion. So what this means is that you will be getting together a group of other 5 people, preferably on your friends list, and then playing together with them in order to try and win the whole thing, or at least just have fun and play a 4-man tournament on one of the days. That's all I was able to do last time, and it was a lot of fun. But so this is going to give you guys a general idea of what kind of strategies you should be using in Clash. So first of all, and this should be pretty obvious, as much fun as it is to flex around for your team and to be able to say, well, you know, I'll play top lane unless he wants to play support, at which point I'll just pick what role everyone's going to play. So that way everyone knows what they can be thinking about in Champ Select, and they know generally what their responsibilities are. So if I know that I'm playing with, you know, for example, one of my good friends who's also a top lane main, I'm going to just fill the AD carry instead of saying, well, I'll play AD carry unless your Darius gets banned, and then I'll play top lane, and we'll switch you to just say, I'm going to be AD, and that way all I have to do is focus on which AD carry champions am I going to play, and how am I going to kind of structure the champions I want to be thinking about. Secondly is remember that Clash has this sort of pro draft phase. So what that means is that there are 6 picks, then 6 more picks, or 6 bans, then 6 picks, 4 bans, then 4 more picks. So what this means is that not all your bans are clustered at the very beginning of the match. So what you want to be doing is thinking about what you want to be drafting early. So especially if you know, for example, we have a high mastery Darius player on our team, we really want to make sure we get the Darius early on in the draft because he's probably not going to survive the second ban phase if they don't ban him first. So, therefore, if Darius gets through in the first pick phase, or in the first ban phase, we want to immediately pick that up because that's going to be a crucial pick for our top laner if he decides he does want to go for the Darius. Conversely, if there are champions that you think will be important, but that you don't necessarily need right off the bat, don't bother picking them early in the ban or early in the draft phase. Instead, you can sit on that and wait for your opponent. A usually good strategy that a lot of pro players do is they wait on their solo lane picks unless something very strong gets through. In this case, obviously, you're not always necessarily going to be playing for strength, but instead playing for comfort and playing champions you know you're strong on. And those are the ones that the scouting phase is going to show your opponents. So if you have a Mordekaiser main with 6 million mastery points on Mordekaiser, they are very, very likely to ban that early on in the draft. So you may want to either basically set up your team knowing that Mordekaiser isn't going to get through, or trying to establish that if he does get through, we have to pick it immediately right off the bat, and then trying to save your other solo lanes for a later pick, especially because you might get the opportunity to counterpick. If your top laner, for example, is like, I really want to sit on this and make sure I can get what I want, you may want to sit on your top lane pick for later in the draft because that way you have a better chance of getting a counterpick on your opponent. Your second ban phase should generally be saved for champions that aren't that important to the enemy team or that you're not that worried about. So, for example, you ban out the things in the first draft phase that you really, really don't want to see or which are going to counter your strategy. So, for example, we're going to play heavy dive comp because that's just what our champions line up to be, and one of their players is a Janna main. Well, maybe we don't want to be playing... You know, maybe we want to ban out the Janna early on in the game because we don't want that ruining our composition. So ban that out first. Later on, you can think about banning other champions that aren't going to quite as hard ruin your team composition. So if they don't pick the Janna and they pick a whole bunch of other stuff, well, and they haven't picked their support, you can ban out 2 more of their supports. And then that really crimps their champion pool. That kind of a thing is what you want to be thinking about when you're playing Clash because it gives you a much better chance to shut down one player and really put them on something that they're not comfortable with. The other thing is make sure you're using your scouting phase wisely. So Clash will show you their most played champions in ranked, and then their highest win rate champion and highest mastery champions. Now, this gives you a lot of different champions, and some people have really weird champion pools. Very rarely will you look at a player and see 5 top laners in their highest mastery champions. Especially for me, that's not the case at all. There are a lot of champions that appear in my top 5 that I haven't played in a long time, or which I just happen to have a high mastery on, but they're not in my primary lane. So What you want to be looking for instead are the kinds of champions you can make a guess as to who's going to be playing where. So, hey, this guy has 4 AD carries in his top 5. He probably is going to be playing AD carry in Clash, so we know what he's likely to play. But you also just want to be looking at the champions that are more likely to give you a bad time. So even if you don't think that guy, for example, is going to play mid lane because he's got 480 carries, but he's got the Fizz, and you know Fizz is really going to counter your mid lane pick, maybe you just ban the Fizz, because you really want to make sure that you're structuring your bans based around the kinds of champions that are going to actually ruin your team play or your whatever champion you're planning on picking. You don't want to just ban at random or assume somebody's playing in a certain position and just ban all the 80 carries, because if they're not, and for example, turns out they have someone else that they play, could be really difficult. The other thing you want to do, and we learned this the hard way, is make a note of what your bans are going to be, because you won't be able to look at their champs again once you're in Champion Select. Once you're in there, you can't see their top played, highest win rate, highest mastery. You can't see any of that at that point. So what you want to make sure you do is make some kind of a note. What I usually do is take a screen grab of their top played champions in ranked, or make like a notepad or something saying, here's what bans we're likely to try and do. Because otherwise what happens is, for example, you really think their mid lane is going to be playing Diana. And so you ban out the Diana, you ban out some of their other top mid lane picks, and then they choose something else entirely. And it's like, well, we don't need that many bans now for their mid laner, but what else do we ban? I don't remember what their top lane plays, I don't remember what their AD plays, I don't remember what their jungle plays. Oh no. So you really want to be making sure you have some kind of notes left up, so that way you have a way to kind of check and say, okay, so we didn't have to end up banning that, instead we'll go for this instead. Right, so you want to make sure you have that kind of a strategy, I guess, going forward, because that's what's really going to help you out. Finally, once you actually get into game, remember, the enemy team will be in full voice comms and coordinating, so you want to make sure you press your advantages and stay objective focused. They will have the wherewithal to say, well, we're behind, we can play safe, or well, we're ahead, we're going to shove this as hard as we can. And it's in your best interest to try and play as safely as you can as well, and try to leverage objectives if you can. This isn't ranked, where oftentimes the most important thing in ranked is just morale, where, you know, oh no, we're losing, let's just go ahead and surrender this at 20. Who cares? I don't. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna quit out because I'm 0-3, and even if our bottom lane's doing well, I don't think we're gonna do that well, so I'm just gonna quit. You know, that's quite often what you see in ranked, but it's not quite the case in these not necessarily professional, but these more competitive environments, is that people very much do try to play it out and say, hey, we basically know what kind of advantages our team has, and we might be able to actually press this for an advantage. So you want to make sure you basically stay frosty, stay objective focused, and try to keep pushing in on the enemy team. The other thing that helps with this is making sure that you draft a strategy. You need to, when you're in Champ Select, and especially before Champ Select, talk about what kind of a composition you want to run with your team. If you look at your team play and you're saying, well, our top laner plays a lot of initiation tanks, and our AD carry plays a lot of good team fight AD carries like Misfortune, well, we might want to play team fight. We might want to just pick up the Maokai or the Malfight early on in the draft, grab Misfortune and go over the top, and then just play for team fight. And that way your team has a solid draft strategy. You know what you're going to be trying to pick and what you can do in Champ Select. The other thing is it gives you clear win conditions. Instead of saying, well, we're ahead, but we don't know how to win, you can kind of look at your team and say, well, we know we want to be going for team fights. So we want to be grouping up as 5. We want to be trying to pressure objectives down together. We don't want people all by themselves. Alternatively, if you have like an Ashe and an Assassin, you want to be playing pick, saying, okay, let's scout around, let's get deep vision, try to hit someone with the Ashe arrow and then blow them up or catch people in transition. Having those kinds of strategies really does help you, because it helps your team find a way to win even in a game where it's not looking very good. In the first Clash tournament we played in, we had that situation where we kept trying to team fight, but their team fight was so much better than ours because they had a Nivea, they had a Misfortune. It was really difficult to actually do that. So instead, we were able to kind of look at our team composition and say, well, we have an Ashe, we have a Mordekaiser who's really, really strong in a split push scenario. We can just play pick. We can try to set up things with the Ashe initiation. We can try to use Mordekaiser to force people around. And if we get the initial pick, we have a Ghost of the champion to use as well. And once we made that swap to the mindset, it made it so much easier to close out the game, because now we had a game plan beyond, well, just keep smashing your face into the enemy team and hoping that eventually you win a team fight, because, spoiler alert, it wasn't going to happen. So make sure your team has a strategy, make sure you're looking at what the enemy strategy is, and try to come up with some kind of game plan for what you're doing, because that's gonna be the biggest thing that'll help you close out games and actually take home wins. I hope this video wasn't too scattered for you. I hope you guys got some kind of information out of it. If you guys are looking forward to playing Clash, let me know down in the comments section below. I would love to hear about your guys' experience. I unfortunately won't be able to play this weekend, going to be out of town, but let me know what you guys do, and let me know if this video is helpful to you at all. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, and if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. And if you're looking for more Grab the Lantern content, you can check out my blog, link down in the description. I upload an article just about each and every single day for your enjoyment. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all later.